Ever wondered what would happen if a top-secret naval plan got mixed up with a fridge manual? Well, Watch Your Stern, 1960, answers that question with a healthy dose of British slapstick, ridiculous disguises, and a torpedo that's more of a menace to its own crew than the enemy. Packed with carry-on-style chaos, this naval comedy takes one simple mistake and turns it into a full-blown disaster at sea. But how did this film come about? Who were the comedic greats behind it? And just how much trouble can one hapless sailor cause? Let's dive in. This 1960 British comedy was directed by Gerald Thomas, the man behind most of the Carry On films, and written by Alan Hackney. It isn't officially a Carry On movie, but with its cast, style, and humour, it might as well be. The film brings together a stellar lineup of British comedy legends, including Kenneth Connor, Sid James, Hattie Jacques, and Leslie Phillips, all playing their usual roles to perfection. At the centre of the chaos is ordinary seaman Blissworth, played by Kenneth Connor. Blissworth is well-meaning but hopelessly accident-prone, and when he accidentally burns a hole through the secret plans for a brand new acoustic torpedo, his life becomes a desperate mission to cover up the blunder.
Blissworth? What the... I'm terribly sorry, sir.
It doesn't take long for things to spiral even further out of control when Admiral Pettigrew...
Yes, sir? Why haven't you asked to see my pass? Well, sir, you're the Admiral, sir.
Played by Noel Purcell, demands to see the plans. Blissworth, in an attempt to retrieve the correct documents, is sent on a bicycle to catch the American commander before he reaches London.
Captain of my ship, the Terrier. I've got to get down the station at once.
Not without a pass, you won't.
I haven't got a pass.
But there's a problem. He's not allowed out of the dockyard without a pass. Meanwhile, the Admiral is furious that he was sent flying and demands to know who was riding the blue bicycle.
Idiotic expression he had. And the bicycle too! Bright blue it was.
The only logical next step is to dispose of the bike altogether. So, naturally, it gets thrown overboard. With no other option, the crew devises an elaborate plan.
I have got a scientist.
Yeah. Who?
Blissworth.
Blissworth will impersonate Professor Potter, the scientific expert on the torpedo project. Captain Foster's sister, Anne, played by the always wonderful Joan Sims, transforms Blissworth with makeup, a wig and part of Officer Mundy's beard, donning a pair of glasses, and adopting a rather questionable Scottish accent.
I'm sorry to keep you waiting, sir, but I was caught with my trousers down.
Miraculously, the ruse works, for a while at least. Blissworth manages to convince the visiting officers that the refrigeration unit's diagram is actually the torpedo's circuitry. But then comes another twist. The real Professor Potter calls ahead to say she will be late.
I want to speak to the Commander-in-Chief. This is Miss Agatha Potter speaking.
And there's one small problem. Professor Potter isn't a man at all. She's Agatha Potter, played by Hattie Jacques. As soon as she arrives, she's mistaken for a spy and promptly arrested. Meanwhile, Chief Petty Officer Mundy, played by Sid James, is dealing with his own troubles.
What's been at the middle bit then, Chief? The moths, sir. Well, lose what's left of it.
Having sacrificed his facial hair for Blissworth's disguise, he's left with no choice but to go completely clean-shaven. A tragic fate, according to the Royal Navy's strict grooming regulations. As the situation escalates, Blissworth finds himself in yet another disguise, this time as Agatha Potter herself. Dressed as a woman, he's collected by the Admiral's secretary and taken to Admiralty House for a meeting with Pettigrew. Everything is going surprisingly well until the real Agatha Potter calls.
Hello, is that you, Humpers?
You have the real Miss Potter there.
Exposing the deception. Now on the run, Blissworth makes a quick escape and manages to hitch a lift with the returning American commander. By sheer luck, he retrieves the real torpedo plans and rushes back to the ship just in time. With the Admiral moments away from discovering the truth, Blissworth changes back into uniform and tries to slip away unnoticed. But before he can make his exit, he accidentally solves a major design flaw in the torpedo.
I beg your pardon, madam, but it is not the degaussing coil at all, it's the differential coefficient.
Impressed, the scientists invite him to work with them on the project.
I'd like Mr. Blissworth's help with this modification. I'd like to be able to call on his services over the next few days.
After all that effort to stay out of trouble, he's now front and centre in the mission. And then comes the grand finale. The torpedo is finally launched, only to turn around and hit their own ship. It's the perfect punchline to a film packed with classic British farce, proving that sometimes, in the Royal Navy, it's best to watch your stern. The film was shot at the historic Chatham Royal Dockyard, an authentic location that adds to the naval setting. Chatham had a long history with the Royal Navy, making it an ideal backdrop for the story's chaos. Though Watch Your Stern wasn't a massive box office hit, it was well received by audiences who enjoyed its quick-fire humour and lively performances. It may not be as well known as the Carry On films, but for fans of British comedy, it remains a hidden gem, with its mistaken identities, clever disguises, and a torpedo that causes more problems than it solves. Watch Your Stern is a classic example of British comedy at its best. Whether you're a fan of Kenneth Connor's slapstick brilliance, Sid James's unmistakable laugh, or Hattie Jacques' impeccable timing, this film has something for everyone. So, if you're in the mood for some vintage naval mischief, sit back, relax, and watch your stern, because you never know when the next torpedo might come back to bite you.
Oh, blimey, here we go again.
You went to Oxford and Cambridge, didn't you, Blissy?
Why didn't he? He got on the wrong bus.